The elaboration likelihood model is a theory of persuasion that suggests that there are two different ways people can be persuaded of something, depending on how invested they are in a topic. When people are strongly motivated and have time to think over a decision, persuasion occurs through the central route, in which they carefully weigh the pros and cons of a choice. However, when people are rushed or the decision is less important to them, they tend to be more easily persuaded by the peripheral route, that is, by features that are more tangential to the decision at hand. The elaboration likelihood model is a theory developed by Richard Petty and John Cacciopo in the 1970s and 1980s. What factors affect elaboration? One major factor is whether the issue is personally relevant to us. For example, imagine you're reading about the proposed soda tax in your city. If you're a soda drinker, the elaboration likelihood model would predict that elaboration would be higher since you would be potentially paying this tax. On the other hand, people who don't drink soda or soda drinkers who live in a city that wasn't considering adding a soda tax would have lower levels of elaboration. Other factors can also affect our motivation to elaborate on an issue, such as how soon a potential issue will affect us. Elaboration is higher for things that affect us more immediately. How much we already know about the topic, more pre-existing knowledge is linked to more elaboration, and whether the issue relates to a core aspect of our identity. If it does, elaboration is higher. Another factor affecting elaboration is whether or not we have the time and ability to pay attention. Sometimes we're too rushed or distracted to pay attention to an issue, and elaboration is lower in this case. For example, imagine that you're approached at the supermarket and asked to sign a political petition. If you have plenty of time, you might read over the petition carefully and ask the petitioner questions on the issue. But if you're rushing to work or trying to load heavy groceries into your car, you're less likely to carefully form an opinion on the petition topic. Essentially, elaboration is a spectrum from low to high, where someone is on the spectrum affects likelihood and they will be persuaded through either the central route or the peripheral route. The central route to persuasion, when elaboration is higher, we're more likely to be persuaded through the central route. In the central route, we pay attention to the merits of an argument and we carefully weigh the pros and cons of an issue. Essentially, the central route involves using critical thinking and trying to make the best decision possible. The peripheral route to persuasion, when elaboration is lower, we're more likely to be persuaded through the peripheral route. In the peripheral route, we're susceptible to being influenced by cues that don't actually relate to the issue at hand. For example, we might be persuaded to buy a product because a famous or attractive spokesperson is shown using the product. In the peripheral route, we might also be persuaded to support something because we see that there are a lot of arguments in favor of it, but we might not carefully consider whether these arguments are actually any good. For example, Mindy and Alice both want to buy their mom a new cell phone for her birthday. Mindy looks for cell phones which are advertised by famous celebrities, assuming that since it is advertised by trusted celebrities, it is sufficient in performing its purpose. Alice, on the other hand, being an IT graduate, looks for cell phones with the best specs for its cost. Mindy's approach is the persuasion route, wherein she looks for cues that easily persuades her, while Alice's approach is the central route, wherein she thinks much deeper into the details. In conclusion, the elaboration likelihood model has been an influential and widely cited theory in psychology, and its key contribution is the idea that people can be persuaded of things in one of two different ways depending on their level of elaboration for a particular topic.